Commander Tay stood at the viewing deck of the Earthship Horizon, watching as the massive space station grew larger in the distance. Shaped like a wheel with spokes running to a central hub, the station was home to the Galactic Coalition, 15 alien species who had been traveling among the stars for thousands of years. "Nervous?" asked Dr. Jin, who walked up beside him. The ship's lead scientist adjusted her uniform and peered out at the station. "A little," Tay admitted. "Today, humans meet the galaxy for the first time. If I make a mistake, Earth might not get a second chance." The Horizon was Earth's most advanced ship. It had taken 50 years after humans discovered faster-than-light travel for them to be noticed by the Coalition. Now, they were finally being welcomed, though not as equals. "Station, control to Earth vessel," a voice said through the ship's speakers. "Follow the guide lights to Docking Bay 12. Tay nodded to his pilot. "Take us in, Officer Park." The Horizon glided toward the massive station. Tay watched alien ships of all shapes and sizes move around them. Some were smooth and round, others sharp and angular. All made the human ship look simple and outdated. "They think we're primitives," Tay said quietly. "Let them," Jin replied with a small smile. "Sometimes being underestimated is an advantage." The welcome ceremony was held in a large hall with high ceilings and walls that seemed to shift colors. Creatures of all shapes moved about, some tall and thin with 4 arms, others short and wide with scales or fur. The air was filled with strange smells and sounds of many languages. A tall, blue-skinned alien with silver eyes approached the human group. It wore flowing robes with complex patterns that seemed to move on their own. "Welcome, humans," it said in perfect English. "I am Ambassador Gon of the Nivari people. On behalf of the Galactic Coalition, I welcome you to Harmony Station." Tay bowed slightly. "Thank you, Ambassador. I am Commander Tay of Earth. We are honored to join this gathering of worlds." Gon's silver eyes studied the humans carefully. "Your species is young, Commander. Most Coalition members had been exploring the stars for thousands of years before joining. You have much to learn." "We are eager students," Tay replied evenly. Gon led them through the crowd, introducing the human delegates to representatives from other worlds. Some were friendly, others clearly doubtful about humans joining their ranks. Tay noted how Jin was asking detailed questions about alien biology, while Security Officer Han watched the room with sharp eyes, assessing potential threats. After an hour of mingling, Ambassador Gon guided Tay to a quieter area, where drinks were being served in containers of various shapes. "You seem capable for a representative of such a young species," Gon said, selecting a tall, thin cup filled with glowing blue liquid. "Thank you," Tay replied, choosing a drink that looked like water. "Though I sense many here doubt our readiness. Can you blame them? Your people have only just learned to leave your solar system. Some Coalition races had visited your world when your ancestors were still living in caves. Yet here we are," Tay said, "ready to join the greater community." Gon's expression became serious. "There is something you should know, Commander. The Coalition faces a threat, one that tests even our most advanced civilizations." "What kind of threat?" "They are called the Kansu, a predator species unlike any other in the known galaxy." Gon gestured to a screen on the wall. It lit up with an image that made Tay's blood run cold. The creature stood on 2 legs but was hunched forward. Its body was covered in natural armor plates with spikes running down its spine. Its head featured multiple eyes and a mouth full of teeth that looked like they could tear through metal. "The Kansu have destroyed 3 civilizations in the past century alone," Gon explained. "They view all other species as prey, nothing more." "Surely they can be reasoned with?" Tay asked. Gon made a sound that might have been a bitter laugh. "We have tried, many times. They see attempts at communication as weakness. They understand only dominance and feeding." The screen changed to show footage of the creatures in battle. They moved with frightening speed, shrugging off energy blasts that left only minor burns on their armored skin. "Their biology makes them nearly impossible to kill," Gon continued. "They have natural armor stronger than most metals. Their blood, is toxic. They can regenerate injured body parts, and their nervous system is spread throughout their bodies, so even severe wounds don't stop them. Tay watched a recording of coalition soldiers firing weapons at an advancing Kansu. The creature took multiple hits but kept coming, tearing through the defenders like they were made of paper. Our scientists have studied them for decades, Gon said. We've found no weakness we can exploit. Each year, they claim more territory, more worlds. I'm sorry to hear that, Tay said. But I don't understand why you're telling me this now at our welcome ceremony. Gon's silver eyes met Tay's. Because you need to understand the galaxy you're joining, Commander. It is not just a place of wonders and discoveries. There are monsters in the dark spaces between stars. And the Coalition needs every world, every species, every unique perspective if we are to survive. Tay nodded slowly. Earth will do its part, Ambassador. I hope so, Gon replied, though I don't see what your young species could offer against a threat that has stumped our best minds for generations. Before Tay could respond, a shrill alarm cut through the room. The pleasant music stopped. The changing colors on the walls turned red. A voice spoke in several languages before switching to English. Alert. Unknown vessel detected approaching Harmony Station. Scans indicate Kansu design. This is not a drill. All security personnel report to stations. All civilians proceed to designated shelter areas. The room erupted in panic. Some aliens ran for the exits while others froze in place. Tay noticed fear on faces of all shapes and sizes. Ambassador Gon's blue skin had turned pale. They've never attacked the station before. They must have followed your ship. That's not possible, Tay said. We were careful. We followed the approach route exactly as instructed. It doesn't matter now, Gon said. You need to get your people to safety. The station's defenses will try to hold them off. But if they board... The ambassador didn't finish the sentence. Tay activated the communicator on his wrist. All Earth personnel, this is Commander Tay. Security situation in progress. Regroup at Docking Bay 12 immediately. Officer Han was already at Tay's side. Commander, I've been studying the station layout. There's a service corridor that will get us back to the ship faster than the main halls. Those will be crowded now. Good thinking. Lead the way, Tay said. He turned to Gon. Ambassador, you're welcome to come with us. Gon seemed surprised by the offer. Thank you, Commander, but my place is with my people. Go, and pray to whatever gods you worship that the Kansu don't make it inside. As they hurried toward the exit, Dr. Jin caught up with them. Commander, if the Kansu do board, I want to see them. The Coalition databanks barely have any close-up footage. This could be our only chance to study them directly. Are you insane? Han asked. You heard what the ambassador said. These things are killing machines. They're also biological puzzles, Jin insisted. Every living thing has a weakness. The Coalition has been looking for centuries, but maybe they've missed something. Fresh eyes might see what they've overlooked. A massive boom shook the station before Tay could reply. The lights flickered. That wasn't the station's weapons, Han said grimly. Something hit us. Another announcement came through the speakers, this time with clear panic in the voice. Breach in Sectors 7 and 9. Kansu boarding parties confirmed. All security teams engage. All civilians evacuate immediately. Tay looked at his two officers. Change of plans. We're not running. Sir? Han asked. If these Kansu are as dangerous as the ambassador says, the station could fall. And if that happens, Earth needs to know what we're facing. Tay's face was set with determination. Jin, you'll get your wish. We're going to see these creatures for ourselves. Alarms blared throughout Harmony Station as Commander Tay, Dr. Jin, and Officer Han moved against the flow of panicked aliens rushing to safety. This way, Han said, consulting a small device that showed the station layout. Security reports say the Kansu broke through in Sector 7. If we take this maintenance tunnel, we can observe from a safe distance. Dr. Jin's eyes were bright with a scientist's curiosity despite the danger. I still think there must be something the Coalition has missed. Every predator has a weakness, Let's hope you're right, Tay replied. But our priority is to gather information without getting killed. They passed a group of coalition security forces, tall, insect-like aliens with 4 arms, each holding an energy weapon. The security team gave the humans confused looks. "You go wrong way," one said in broken English. "Shelter's that way." "We're here to help," Tay replied simply. The alien didn't argue, too focused on the threat ahead. As they moved deeper into the station, the signs of panic grew. Doors had been left open. Items were scattered on the floor where they had been dropped in haste. The station shook again, from what felt like an explosion. "The Kansu ships must be attacking the outer defenses," Han said. They reached a junction where the corridor split in 3 directions. The lights were flickering, casting strange shadows on the walls. A sound echoed from the left passage, a mix between a screech and a growl that made the hair on the back of Tay's neck stand up. "Kansu," Jin whispered. Han drew her weapon, a standard-issue Earth pulse pistol that suddenly seemed very small compared to the threat they faced. "It came from that direction. We should go another way." But before they could move, they heard something else, a high-pitched cry that sounded like a child. Tay didn't hesitate. "Someone's in trouble. This way." "Commander, wait," Han started, but Tay was already moving down the left corridor. They found the source of the cry around the next corner. A small alien child had fallen and was trapped under a collapsed ceiling panel. The child looked like a miniature version of the blue-skinned Navari like Ambassador Gon, but with purple skin instead of blue. "Help me," Tay called to the others as he tried to lift the panel. Han and Jin rushed forward. Together they managed to lift the heavy metal enough for the child to crawl free. "Thank you," the small alien said in a high, musical voice. "My name is Pell. I got separated from my guardian when everyone started running. We need to get you to safety," Tay said gently. A loud crash came from further down the corridor, followed by the sound of energy weapons firing. Screams followed, then silence. "They're coming," Han said, checking her weapon. "We need to move now." They turned to go back the way they came, but froze at the sight that greeted them. Blocking their path was a Kansu warrior. In person, it was even more terrifying than in the images Gon had shown them. Standing nearly 8 feet tall, its body was covered in natural armor plates that gleamed dully in the emergency lighting. Its face was a nightmare, multiple yellow eyes that moved independently of each other, and a mouth filled with rows of teeth that looked sharp enough to bite through steel. Claws extended from its 4-fingered hands, each looking as lethal as knives. The creature let out a low, rumbling growl that seemed to vibrate the air around them. "Behind me," Han ordered, pushing Tay, Jin, and the child Pell back as she raised her weapon. The Kansu tilted its head, as if curious about these new creatures it hadn't encountered before. Then it charged. Han fired her pulse pistol repeatedly. Blue energy bolts hit the creature's chest and face. The shots that struck its armor seemed to do nothing. Those that hit exposed flesh left small burns, but the creature didn't slow down. "It's not working," Jin shouted. They backed up until they hit a dead end, a maintenance closet with nowhere else to run. Han positioned herself between the advancing predator and the others. "Get in and shut the door," she ordered. "I'll hold it off as long as I can." "We're not leaving you," Tay said. The Kansu was now only feet away. Han fired again, aiming for its eyes. One shot connected, causing the creature to roar in pain and fury. But instead of slowing it down, the injury seemed to make it more aggressive. Pell whimpered, hiding behind Jin. The small child's fear seemed to draw the Kansu's attention, even more. "It's focused on the weakest among us," Jin observed, even in this moment of danger still thinking like a scientist. Pure predator behavior. The Kansu lunged forward. Han's weapon clicked empty. In that moment, with no other options left, "Officer," Han did something unexpected. She slapped the Kansu. It wasn't a calculated move or a trained combat technique. It was pure human instinct, the kind of reaction someone might have when startled or desperate. Her open palm connected with the side of the Kansu's head with a sharp crack. What happened next stunned everyone. The mighty predator, the terror of the galaxy, The unstoppable hunter that had decimated entire civilizations simply collapsed to the floor. For a moment, no one moved. They all stared at the fallen Khonsu in disbelief. What just happened? Tay finally asked. Han looked at her hand, then at the creature on the floor. I don't know, I just hit it. Dr. Jin approached cautiously. Is it dead? I don't think so, Han said. Its chest is still moving. I think it's unconscious. Jin knelt beside the fallen predator, careful not to touch it. Fascinating. Some kind of neural shutdown. But how? Before they could discuss it further, they heard footsteps, approaching. A squad of coalition security forces appeared, led by a tall reptilian alien with scales that shifted color like a chameleon. The security team stopped short at the sight of the fallen Khonsu and the small group of humans standing over it. How? The reptilian leader asked, switching to English. How you defeat Khonsu warrior? Han held up her hand. I slapped it. The security team exchanged confused looks. Slap? What is slap? Their leader asked. Han demonstrated the motion in the air. Open hand across the face, like this. The reptilian's scales turned a bright yellow, which Tay guessed indicated surprise, or disbelief. Many coalition soldiers die fighting Khonsu. Best weapons fail. And you. The reptilian pointed at Han. You defeat with hand? We need to tell Ambassador Gon, Tay said, and we need to test if this works on other Khonsu. The security leader spoke into a communication device in its native language. After a brief exchange, it turned back to the humans. More Khonsu in Sector 9. We go. You show. Slap. Tay looked at his team. Han nodded, determination in her eyes. Jin's face showed excitement at the scientific discovery, and little Pell looked up at the humans with newfound wonder. Lead the way, Tay told the security team. As they moved through the corridors toward Sector 9, where the sounds of battle could be heard, Tay couldn't help but think about the irony of the situation. The Galactic Coalition, with all their advanced technology and thousands of years of interstellar experience, had been fighting and losing against the Khonsu for centuries. And humans, the newcomers they saw as primitives, might have just discovered the solution by accident. They approached the sounds of fighting, and Tay saw Officer Han flex her hand in preparation. Ready? He asked her. Han nodded. Ready to save the galaxy, one slap at a time. Word spread quickly through Harmony Station. By the time Commander Tay, Officer Han, and Dr. Jin returned to the main diplomatic hall, a crowd had gathered. Ambassador Gon stood at the center, his blue skin now returned to its normal shade after the earlier panic. His silver eyes widened at the sight of the humans. Is it true? He asked as they approached. You disabled a Khonsu warrior with your bare hands? Han nodded modestly. It was just instinct, Ambassador. I had no idea it would work. Show me, Gon said. Han demonstrated the slapping motion again. Like this. An open palm strike to the side of the head. The crowd of aliens murmured among themselves. Some seemed doubtful. Others watched with new respect. We've captured 4 Khonsu warriors alive, said the reptilian security chief who had accompanied them. First time ever. Always before they fight to death, but human slap. It stops them completely. A tall, thin alien with 6 arms stepped forward. It wore a white coat with strange symbols that Tay guessed meant it was some kind of scientist. Or doctor. I am Chief Researcher Lim of the Coalition Science Council, it said in a melodic voice. We must study this phenomenon immediately. Would your specialist be willing to help? Han looked at Tay, who nodded. Of course. And I'd like to join as well, Dr. Jin added quickly. I have some theories about what might be happening. Ambassador Gon seemed surprised by the request. You? No offense, Dr. Jin, but our scientists have been studying the Khonsu for centuries. Sometimes fresh eyes see what others miss, Jin replied calmly. Besides, if a human combat technique is effective against them, a human perspective on their biology might be valuable. After a moment's hesitation, Gon nodded. Very well. Chief Researcher Lim will take you to the science wing. The science wing of Harmony Station was an impressive sight. Large chambers filled with strange equipment lined both sides of a central corridor. Alien researchers of various species moved about, studying samples and reading data on screens that seemed to float in midair. The Kansu specimens are in the high-security lab, Lim explained as they walked. They are sedated but secured with our strongest restraints. Even unconscious, they are dangerous. They entered a large room with transparent walls. Inside, 4 Kansu warriors lay on examination tables. Various devices were attached to their bodies, measuring and scanning. We've been studying them for hours, Lim said, but we still don't understand why your slap affects them this way. Dr. Jin approached one of the transparent walls, studying the creatures. May I see the data you've gathered so far? Lim hesitated, then gestured to a nearby console. Here, though I warn you it's quite complex. Jin began reviewing the information, her eyes moving quickly across the screens. After several minutes, she looked up. I need to test something. Could Officer Han demonstrate the slap again, but this time on different parts of a Kansu's body? The Coalition scientists exchanged glances. Is that safe? Tay asked. We'll keep the specimen fully restrained, Lim assured them, and we have tranquilizers ready if it wakes. Han nodded. I'll do it. They entered the laboratory through an airlock system. Up close, the smell of the Kansu was strong, like burnt metal and something rotten. Han approached the first creature, which was firmly secured to the table. Try the chest first, Jin suggested. Han delivered a firm slap to the creature's armored chest. Nothing happened. Now the arm. Again, no response. The neck? Another slap. Another lack of reaction. Now try near the ear again, but use less force, Jin instructed. Han delivered a lighter slap near the creature's ear opening. The Kansu's body twitched slightly. Interesting, Jin murmured. One more test. Can you make the same motion but stop? Just before contact? Han went through the motion of a slap but stopped an inch from the creature's head. Nothing happened. It's not fear or anticipation, Jin said. It's something about the physical impact itself. Chief Researcher Lim stepped forward. But why would a simple physical strike affect them when our most powerful weapons barely slow them down? I think I know, Jin said. It's not about force. It's about frequency. She moved to a console and brought up a scan of the Kansu's head. Look here. There's a small cluster of neural tissue near their auditory organs. When struck at just the right angle with just the right amount of force, it creates a vibration that resonates at a specific frequency, somewhere around 173 Hz, based on these readings. But we've studied their nervous system extensively, Lim protested. This cluster is just part of their hearing apparatus. Not quite, Jin replied. I think it's actually a control node for their distributed nervous system. When disrupted by a specific resonance frequency, it triggers an emergency shutdown of their entire neural network. Tay stepped closer to the screen. So a human slap creates exactly the right vibration to trigger this shutdown? Precisely, Jin said. The mass of the human hand, the surface area of the palm, the flexibility of the wrist, they combine to create a perfect resonance match for this weakness. The Coalition scientists stared at the humans in amazement. No wonder we never discovered this, Lim said finally. None of our species have appendages with the right combination of mass, surface, area, and striking capability. Some have tentacles, others claws or pincers. None have hands like humans. And even if they did, Jin added, they might not have thought to use such a simple, primitive attack. Your weapons are so advanced that slapping an enemy would seem backward. Lim turned to the other scientists. We need to design devices that can replicate this precise frequency and impact pattern. Slap machines, Han said with a small smile. Exactly, Lim agreed, not catching the humor. This could change everything in our fight against the Kansu. Later that evening, Commander Tay stood with Ambassador Gan in the diplomatic hall. The mood had changed dramatically. Where once the humans had been viewed with polite condescension, now they were the center of attention. Aliens of all species approached to express their gratitude and amazement. It seems your primitive species has much to offer after all, Gon said, a new respect in his silver eyes. Sometimes the oldest solutions are the best ones, Tay replied. The Coalition Security Council has called an emergency meeting, Gon continued. They want to discuss forming a joint task force with human combat specialists. Your Officer Han would be instrumental in training our forces. Tay nodded. Earth will help however we can. There's more, Gon said, lowering his voice. The Kansu have taken over 3 star systems in the past year alone. Millions are suffering under their rule. With this new weapon, this slap solution, as your people call it, we might finally be able to liberate those worlds. Tay looked across the room, where Han was demonstrating the slapping technique to a group of fascinated alien security officers. Dr. Jin was deep in conversation with Chief Researcher Lim, hands moving animatedly as she explained her theories. Just yesterday you thought we were primitive newcomers barely worth noticing, Tay said, and now you're asking for our help to save the galaxy. Gon bowed his head slightly. The Coalition has existed for thousands of years, Commander. In that time, we've learned one important lesson. True wisdom means recognizing value wherever it comes from, even in the most unexpected places. And sometimes, Tay added, the solution to the most complex problem can be as simple as a slap. Around them, the news continued to spread throughout the station. Humans, the newest and least advanced species in the Galactic Coalition, had discovered the one weakness of the galaxy's deadliest predator. The tide was about to turn in a war that had raged for centuries, all because of the unique biology of the human hand and the instinctive reaction of a single security officer. The one slap solution had been found. 3 weeks after the discovery of the slap solution, Commander Tay stood on the bridge of a Coalition battleship. It was 10 times larger than the horizon and filled with technology that would have amazed Earth's best scientists. But today, Tay wasn't here as a guest or observer. He wore the new uniform of a Coalition admiral. Admiral Tay, said the ship's captain, a tall insect-like being named Krell. The fleet is ready for your orders. Through the main view screen, Tay could see 50 ships of various sizes and designs. Some belonged to the Coalition, others were from Earth. In just 3 weeks, Earth had gone from a newcomer to a key ally in the fight against the Kansu. Thank you, Captain Krell. Begin the jump sequence. Operation Hand of Humanity is now active. The ship hummed as its engines powered up. Space seemed to stretch and then snap as they jumped to faster-than-light speed. In a large training hall on another Coalition ship, Officer Han walked between rows of alien soldiers. Each held a strange device strapped to their arm or tentacle, or claw, whatever they used to strike with. Remember, Han said loudly, it's not about strength, it's about hitting the exact right spot with the exact right force. She demonstrated again on a practice dummy that looked like a Kansu. Her hand struck the side of its head with a sharp crack. Lights on the dummy flashed green, showing a successful hit. The slap cannons you're wearing are calibrated to match the perfect frequency, she continued. But you still need to hit the right spot. A reptilian soldier stepped forward and struck the dummy. The lights flashed red. Too high, Han corrected. Try again. Aim for the area just behind what looks like an ear. The soldier adjusted and struck again. This time, the lights flashed green. Good, Han said. Now keep practicing. In real combat, you'll only get one chance. Dr. Jin entered the training hall, accompanied by Chief Researcher Lim. Jin now wore the white coat of a Coalition scientist, with her own name written in both Earth and Coalition symbols. How's the training going? She asked Han. Getting better, Han replied. The new slap cannons are working well. Most of them can get a successful hit within 3 tries now. Jin nodded. Good. The ship-mounted versions are ready too. We've tuned them to emit the exact resonance pattern of a human slap, just amplified 1,000 times. Admiral Tay will be pleased, Han said. We're approaching the Kansu stronghold in the Vega system. This will be our first real test. The Vega system had once been home to a peaceful civilization called the Mori. But 2 years ago, the Kansu had invaded. The few survivors who escaped told horrible stories of their people being hunted like animals. As the Coalition fleet dropped out of light speed, they immediately detected Kansu ships guarding the main planet. "They've seen us," Captain Krell reported. 7 Kansu battlecruisers moving to attack formation. Admiral Tay stood calmly. "Launch fighters. Have them keep the Kansu ships busy, but tell them not to engage directly unless necessary." "What? About our main weapons?" Krell asked. "Not yet," Tay said. "First, we need to test Dr. Jin's theory." The Coalition fighters swarmed around the larger Kansu ships like angry bees. The Kansu responded as expected. They sent out their own fighters, sleek and deadly ships that had brought terror to the galaxy for centuries. "Now," Tay ordered, "target the nearest Kansu fighter squadron with the slap cannons." At first, nothing seemed to happen. The slap cannons didn't fire visible beams or projectiles. They simply emitted powerful waves at the precise frequency of 173 Hz, the same vibration created by a human slap. On the view screen, the effect was immediate. The Kansu fighters suddenly stopped moving in formation. They drifted, powerless. "It works," Dr. Jin exclaimed from her position at a science station. "The pilots are unconscious." "All ships," Tay called into the fleet communication system. "Target Kansu vessels with slap cannons, then move in to capture." Across the battlefield, Kansu ships large and small suddenly lost power and direction. Some crashed into each other. Others simply drifted in space. "I can hardly believe it," Captain Krell said. "We've fought the Kansu for generations, lost countless ships and soldiers, and now we have the advantage," Tay finished. "Prepare landing parties. We're going to the planet's surface." The main city of the Mori people had been taken over by the Kansu. Once beautiful buildings were now marked with the Predator's symbol, a jagged claw mark. As the Coalition ships landed, they expected heavy resistance, but the slap cannons worked just as well on the ground. Large versions mounted on vehicles sent waves of the special frequency ahead of the advancing Coalition forces. Kansu warriors fell unconscious before they could even attack. Officer Han led a team of soldiers who had trained with her. They wore smaller versions of the slap cannons on their arms, using them to take down any Kansu they encountered. "This building is clear," Han reported through her communicator. Moving to the next sector. As they moved deeper into the city, they began to find survivors of the original Mori population. The small, furry aliens were thin and scared, hiding in basements and secret rooms. They looked at the Coalition forces with fear at first, then hope as they realized they were being rescued. One elderly Mori approached Han, touching her hand gently. "Thank you," it said in a weak voice. "We thought no one would ever come." Han smiled. "You're safe now. The Kansu can't hurt you anymore." By the end of the day, the entire planet had been secured. Thousands of Kansu had been captured, all without firing a single conventional weapon. Admiral Tay stood with Dr. Jin and Officer Han on a hill overlooking the main city as the sun set. "One day," Tay said, "we took back an entire planet in one day without losing a single soldier." "The slap heard around the galaxy," Han said with a small smile. "It won't always be this easy," Jin warned. "The Kansu will adapt. They might develop protection against the frequency. Then we'll adapt too," Tay replied. "But for now, let's enjoy this victory." As they watched, Coalition ships landed in the city center, bringing food and medical supplies for the freed Mori people. After years of terror under Kansu rule, they were finally free. What none of them knew yet was what Admiral Tay would discover the next day, evidence that the Kansu hadn't just been ruling the Mori. They had been farming them for food. The war was far from over. But with the one-slap solution, humanity had given the galaxy its first real hope in centuries. And as news of the victory spread, more Kansu-occupied worlds began sending secret messages. "Come free us next. Operation Hand of Humanity was just beginning." 1 year after the discovery of the slap solution, Admiral Tay stood in the grand chamber of the Galactic Coalition Council. The room was circular, with raised seats surrounding a central speaking platform. Representatives from all 15 original coalition species were present, along with a new addition, humans from Earth. Behind Tay stood Dr. Jin and Officer Han, both now wearing medals given by the coalition for their contributions to the fight against the Kansu. "Admiral Tay," said the council leader, a tall being with golden skin that seemed to glow from within. "Today marks one standard galactic year since Operation Hand of Humanity began. Would you please share the results with the council?" Tay stepped forward. "Thank you, council leader. In the past year, coalition forces have liberated 17 planets from Kansu control. We have rescued over 12 million beings who were being held as food sources." A murmur ran through the chamber. Even after a year, many coalition members found it hard to speak about what the Kansu had been doing to their victims. "The Kansu fleet has been reduced by 80%, Tay continued. "Their remaining ships have retreated to their home system, where our blockade keeps them contained." "And casualties?" asked a representative from the insect-like X-Rill species. "Minimal," Tay replied. "Since implementing the SLAP-based weapons, coalition forces have suffered less than 100 fatalities in combat operations. Compare this to the thousands lost in previous years." The council leader nodded solemnly. "A remarkable achievement. And what of the captured Kansu?" Dr. Jin stepped forward. "The research team I lead has found a way to permanently disable the neural cluster that makes them vulnerable to the SLAP frequency. This procedure removes their aggressive tendencies without killing them. Over 10,000 Kansu have been treated and are now being rehabilitated." This news caused an even stronger reaction in the chamber. The idea of Kansu being anything but monsters was still new to many. "Doctor," said a reptilian representative, "are you suggesting these predators can be civilized?" "Early results are promising," Jin replied. "They retain their intelligence and memories, but without the overwhelming drive to hunt and consume other species. They're beginning to develop their own culture based on cooperation rather than predation." The council leader raised a hand for quiet. "This brings us to the main purpose of today's meeting. The Galactic Coalition was formed 5,000 years ago to unite diverse species in peace and mutual benefit. In all that time, no species has been granted full membership status in less than 50 years after first contact." The chamber grew completely silent. "Today we vote on whether to break that tradition," the leader continued. "To grant Earth full membership in recognition of their unique contribution to the defeat of our greatest enemy." Officer Han leaned close to Tay and whispered, "Didn't we just want to say hello a year ago? Now we're getting the keys to the galaxy." Tay suppressed a smile. It was true. Their mission had started as a simple first contact, and now humans were being honored in ways no other species had experienced. The vote was quick and unanimous. Earth was now a full member of the Galactic Coalition, with all the rights and responsibilities that came with it. After the ceremony, Tay found himself in a quiet garden area with Ambassador Gon, whose blue skin had faded slightly with age over the past year of hard work. "A remarkable journey," Gon said, looking out at the stars visible through the station's clear dome. "When we first met, I thought your people were primitives with nothing to offer the coalition. And now?" Tay asked. "Now I wonder what else we've missed in our quest for advanced technology," Gon replied. "For centuries we built more powerful weapons, stronger shields, faster ships, all to fight the Kansu. And in the end, the solution was as simple as a slap." Tay nodded. "Sometimes the simplest solutions are the hardest to see, especially when you're focused on complexity." "There's wisdom in that," Gon agreed. "The coalition has become so focused on technological advancement that we forgot the value of biological diversity and different evolutionary paths." They walked in silence for a moment before Gon spoke again. "You know, the Coalition Science Council has approved Dr. Jin's proposal for a new Xenobiology Institute. They're calling it the Jin Institute for Interspecies Solutions." "She'll be pleased," Tay said. "Though I suspect she'll want to change the name. Jin doesn't like taking credit for what she calls team discoveries." "And Officer Han? What will she do now that her slapping services are less in demand?" Tay smiled. She's been asked to teach at the Galactic Defense Academy. The first class of cadets is graduating next week. The graduation ceremony at the Galactic Defense Academy took place in a large field under an open sky. Cadets from all 16 coalition species, including the newest, humans, stood in neat rows. Their uniforms were identical except for modifications needed for different body types. Admiral Tay watched from the viewing stand as Officer Han addressed the graduating class. When I joined Earth's space program, Han told the cadets, I never imagined I would one day be teaching combat techniques to the galaxy's future defenders. I certainly never thought a simple slap would change the course of history. The cadets laughed. The story of the one-slap solution had become famous throughout coalition space. But there's a lesson here beyond combat techniques, Han continued. The Khonsu seemed unstoppable because everyone was looking for complex solutions to defeat them. Sometimes the answer is simple. Sometimes it's been right in front of you, or in this case, at the end of your arm, all along. She gestured to the first row of cadets. Cadet Toll, please step forward. A young alien with purple skin, similar to the child Pell they had rescued on Harmony Station a year ago, came forward. Demonstrate the technique, Han instructed. The cadet turned to a practice dummy shaped like a Khonsu. With perfect form, he delivered a slap that hit exactly the right spot with exactly the right force. The dummy's lights flashed green. Perfect, Han said with a proud smile. Remember, cadets, it's not about having the most advanced technology or the most powerful weapons. It's about finding the right solution, even if it seems simple. As the ceremony concluded, Tay found himself thinking about how much had changed. In just 1 year, humans had gone from newcomers to key members of the coalition. The Khonsu threat had been contained. And throughout coalition space, people who had lived in fear for generations could now look to the stars with hope instead. Because of a slap. A simple human solution to a problem that had stumped the galaxy's greatest minds for centuries. As the newly graduated cadets threw their caps into the air, a human tradition they had adopted, Tay couldn't help but wonder what other simple solutions might be waiting to be discovered, and what other contributions humanity might make to their new galactic family in the years to come. The one-slap solution had saved the galaxy, but it was just the beginning.